Liverpool have got Tottenham and Brighton, who they need to play, where they've dropped points before. Arsenal need to play Aston Villa and then Tottenham, crucially, away. Man City need to play Arsenal and then Tottenham, as everybody else seems to do. So the average league position of each opponent for these clubs is Liverpool 9.5, Arsenal 9.3, and Manchester City 9.0. Man City have got the hardest fixtures technically, but who do you think has got the hardest fixtures to come?
It feels quite clear for me who has the worst fixtures, because I have a belief that kind of back-to-back big games is a good thing. You know, obviously everyone has to play big games, and obviously you don't want it again and again and again, but a little cluster of tough games can be quite good, because I think the level of those games is so high that you're then, as a team, you are ready for that level of opponent again. Whereas I think sometimes you can sort of step into a game a little bit cold. This is the most iconic Premier League season, in my opinion. But in terms of the stories of all three, I think it's so special. And there's a movie to be made, a less exciting movie if it's Man City winning it again. Because I think overall the best story would be someone else going and winning it. Liverpool and Man City, I think, have easier fixtures than Arsenal. But if Arsenal win it this year, the story is absolutely incredible. For Arsenal to bottle it, and for a group of men to go through those together and then figure it out, like get that wisdom, earn that title and win it in that fashion. But I'm not sure they've got the best squad out of the three. I think Man City have the best squad out of the three quite comfortably, if I'm honest. But I think how you play can affect how you can get around that. And I think there are some stumbling blocks there for Man City. But the fixtures there for me, Man City, obviously the next two are crucial. Arsenal, then Villa. Like those are absolutely gargantuan games. After that, it is a pretty comfortable run-in. If it goes to the final game, that will be interesting, because it'll be interesting to see like where West Ham are at that point, what they're fighting for. Liverpool, currently, the last game is going to be Wolves, and for Arsenal, it will be Everton, who I know you're an Everton fan, but I think you will hope that you're safe by that point, and so it's a dead rubber. To answer your question, Arsenal have the hardest fixtures, and I'll tell you why. They have to play Man City, Luton, Brighton, which is tough, Villa, which is tough, Wolves away, which is tough, Tottenham away, which is tough, Bournemouth at home. Like when you see the fixtures of different teams and you see it's green or it's red or it's a simple color, a neutral color. For me, the Man City game, that's red. The Luton game, that's you should be winning at home, I think. But obviously they're fighting for their lives. Brighton away is it's not red, but it's not green. Villa is tough. Wolves is tough. It's red. Tottenham is red. Bournemouth is harder than you think. Man United away is harder than you think on paper, when there's going to be such a spotlight on that. And then, of course, you're into Chelsea at home, which, again, Chelsea are average, but they've got an unbelievable squad. And then Everton, you're in the last game, so it doesn't even matter who you're playing. That's obviously an intense game. So the intensity of all of that is very difficult for Arsenal. And also, if they lose one of those games, off the back of it, I think to have an easy game to sort of get your momentum back is going to be tough, right? When you lose to Man City, you play Luton. Okay, you can get your momentum back there. But then if you lose to Brighton, you've got Villa next. If you lose to Villa, you've got Wolves next. If you lose to Tottenham, you've got Bournemouth. They're not nice games. The answer is Arsenal which doesn't mean they're not going to win those games.
Arsenal have scored the least amount of open play goals with 35 out of Man City and Liverpool and themselves. Man City have scored 46 and Liverpool have scored 43. However, Arsenal have scored the most from set pieces. Are they relying too much on set pieces? And will they get found out? Or is the ability to score from set pieces a tool that will never get old?
I think it's like the best plaster you can find in football for not having, an out-and-out outrageous striker. Nunez, we've done videos on the channel. I love watching him. Like, really, you can't not enjoy watching him. Arsenal, it's a lot more calculated, and as you say, the amount of goals coming from set pieces, it feels a bit like, you can put it in that XG conversation a little bit, where we don't know yet if they're running hot or if they're just outrageously good at set pieces and will forevermore be, right? So when we talk about Son or Kane or the best strikers, they have their XG, and then they always score more than that because they take those difficult chances. You put us in the we did ESPN and Kai helps us with that. Great stat on the fact that they've not scored a goal from a set piece in the Champions League this year.
They've not scored a header in the Champions League.
Sorry, a header goal. That's pretty fascinating. And it kind of makes you think that as much as set pieces can offer you so much, and as I say, I think it's a great plaster when you need to find goals from other avenues. It would concern me a little bit. I think if I was an Arsenal fan, you're not wholeheartedly solving the problem in open play, are you? Well, you're obviously not. So I think in terms of having more answers, which is something I say a lot, that's a really great, strong answer. I think you can spin it both ways, to be honest. In terms of being sort of imperious with set pieces, once it becomes a thing, from a negative point of view, it continues to be a negative thing until you can draw a line. And that line, I think, can get drawn at the end of a season. So I actually think that a good way of spinning it as well is that will continue to serve them in the Premier League till the end of the season. That will be a solid theory.
If Arteta wins the league this season, should he be compared to Klopp and Guardiola?
You starts to sort of jump into that realm, doesn't it? Because I think there's been a sort of slow build there. And I think in terms of the Klopp-Guardiola debate, one thing that's kind of not focused on enough, I thought Monday Night Football did a brilliant way of articulating it, was that if you look at where Liverpool as a football club generally finished, it was 6th, it was 5th, it was, 2nd, 4th, it was like that. Klopp's come in and then steadily built that club. He's built them into an elite team. Man City were first, second, third, or whatever it was. We know how good Guardiola is. And Guardiola's got the win, hasn't he? Because he's got the trophies. But Klopp, that can't be underestimated. So to get there and then get to the mountaintop of winning the Premier League for Arteta, again, with a group that I think is still growing, but overall probably isn't at the same level as the others right now. I think, I say that very tentatively actually now, because I think it's one where you go through the team and you go, wow, actually, you've got players that are 25 now at their peak and they're stupidly good at football. But Arteta has brought them in and built them. I think you would start to chuck him in that conversation, but I don't think he would. I think he would finish third when you rank them. But yeah, I think it's okay to compare him because I think he's done an absolutely fantastic job. And I think he truly is elite. I think you've seen that in the big games this year and how he's coached them, how smart he's coached them, and how he's found a way to beat these teams through the collective, I think, as much as any kind of individual brilliance. So, yeah, I think it's okay to compare him with those two. I still think he's third on the list, though, even if they do win it this year.
Who do you want to win the league? Who do you actually want to win it? If you had to choose, I know you don't want to answer it.
Honestly, I know who I don't want to win. I don't want Man City to win the league. I don't. And I think Man City fans would understand that and respect that. For variance as much as anything. For the storyline of it all as well. I think there's so much to like about the Arsenal squad and team and manager. And I think there's so much to enjoy about Liverpool as well. I really like all three teams. Arsenal, I'm actually quite weirdly proud of that group because they're young and they're growing and they're learning. And I think that's something to be to really enjoy. I think they're so well coached. I think Arteta is the real deal. It's funny, isn't it? It's only until it's easy for me to say this now, but I remember being on the kickoff and sort of defending him way back when. And I remember Rory had a go at me because I was saying he's an Arsenal, similar to Lampard in terms of being a captain, being a key figure at Arsenal at some stage. So he has that legendary status to a point, never to the level of Lampard, but still just being kind of a captain, a leader, a good mind. And I believed that you thought that he would figure it out unless he got eaten up. Now Lampard got eaten up. Arteta has been able to have the security and the support at the club. The club, for all its critique, has run itself really, really well since Arteta's come in. A lot of people go after Arsenal fans or different people. I think Arsenal fans I've been quite impressed with them. Every Arsenal fan I talk to thinks they'll finish third. Every Arsenal fan. For Liverpool, I think of the word energy. And I've been thinking about this the other day. I was thinking what is energy? Because I think it's such an important thing in football to retain the power of energy. It's not really something you totally can see. And it's something that's kind of within the mind but can affect the body. Thinking about the Man City-Liverpool game, it was the energy of Liverpool, and I know you hate this, but like it was the energy of Liverpool that allowed them to sort of enforce their will upon Man City. And that and the sort of the magic of Liverpool is something that as a neutral, you can be both envious and enjoy. And that's what I like a lot about Liverpool. Klopp's got this kind of different like tenacity that it'd be interesting to see how much that carries on. But like when you think of, say, someone like Johan Cruyff and how he as a person then instilled a whole identity for Barcelona that's carried on and on and on. I think Klopp could have a similar legacy at Liverpool, because I wonder if, Alonso, I guess Alonso didn't play with Klopp, but in the future you could see sort of Milner or Lallana or Henderson, if everything could get forgiven, going back and being part of it, and those players kind of, or an ex-Liverpool player retaining the identity that is known as the way that Liverpool play these days, because Klopp's been there so long. So that's why I love them. And the story, I think Klopp deserves one more. I think that would be cruel for him to not get it, especially in a year where I think going into it, everyone's like, well, Man City will win it. But who do I want to win it? Due to the sort of mortality of Klopp and the fact that he's leaving, I would like to Liverpool to win it. It's always nice to get a shout right. You know, we do this a lot where you kind of you take the accumulation of a lot of things, as I've just kind of spoken about. That's literally you're seeing the insides of my brain here, or hearing it. It was in sort of January or maybe December. I was like, I think, or October, I think we said, they've got answers. They've always got different answers to win games. And I always thought that was important. And then I think it was around January, I was like, no, yeah, I think it's Liverpool. So it would be nice to be right. How heavy do you think the drop-off will be next season when Klopp goes?
It's really hard to say, just because you don't know who the next manager's coming in will be, and how that style correlates with what Klopp's already installed in the team and in the club generally. But so it's hard to see a manager that can come in and do what Klopp does, because it's such a tailor-made style.
It'll be a heavily transitional season.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for next season. I think next season's going to be. Well, I guess. The thing with Man City is they're not going anywhere. That's the one thing. They're only going to continue to be brilliant. And do you know what, in terms of the passing of the guard, the sort of movement of Foden in terms of being the A side, because essentially that's what happened in that game again. De Bruyne got taken off, Foden got put into the middle to be more involved. It'd be interesting to see, can Foden get to De Bruyne levels of output? Because if De Bruyne starts to wane, which again I say so carefully, because he will. I still think between now and the end of the season it'll be De Bruyne that we're talking about more, because his vision is just unparalleled, especially in games that they dominate, which they will dominate most games because of the teams that they're playing between now and the end of the season. But if that moment comes next season, does that take them down a notch because of lacking that cheat code, or they're going to have to get someone else in to be that?
He could go to Saudi. I've heard murmurings that he's going to Saudi.
I don't think he'd fancy it though, do you?
I don't think he'd fancy a day in that heat, to be honest.
yeah. Factor 50, please.